constitutional amendment for term limits is the only way forward. It will create open seats, lower the barriers to entry, and provide us with a citizen legislature as our founders intended.
Yes. Sorry. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for watching. You're watching the VSO Gun Channel, and it's excellent to have you here as always. Today, we're going to be covering something that, quite frankly, everybody missed, myself included, and I want to bring this to the forefront because, in my opinion, it didn't get the attention that it needed, and you can tell that it was suppressed by the powers that be just looking at the numbers on it. And that is a group known as U.S. Term Limits recently had a hearing in front of Congress to institute a constitutional amendment that would place term limits on House and Senate seats. This is huge. This is really important, and I think you will see as I play a few snippets from this whole thing why it was suppressed. But before we do, real quick capitalism break. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be right back in just a few seconds. Today's video is brought to you by Ace Tack Gear. Ace Tack does all the nylon things. So if you're looking to get into a plate carrier or chest rig, or you're just trying to augment the gear that you already have with some expansion pouches, here are your guys. Recently, I did a video on their medical kit, which is a collaboration with Everlit Survival. I'll have that video as well as the minimalist chest rig video I recently did from Ace Tack listed below for you to run down. What's more is both those companies offer VSO viewers a discount. So if you use my code listed over at the affiliates page, you can save 10%. Special thanks to them for making this video possible. To be completely clear, I'm not affiliated with this group in any way. I don't know anybody there. I haven't spoken to anybody there. I don't know the politics of the group, although I have my guesses and I could probably place a bet on that. And I will have the full video of which I'm going to pull some snippets from listed in the description box and the pinned comment down below for you guys to run down.
Only 8% of people trust Congress. It's also no shock, of course, that 83% of Americans support term limits. That includes huge majorities of Democrats, Republicans, and independent voters.
Yeah, I believe both those numbers. Even though that 80% number might seem a little bit high to some of you, I can't think of anybody in my direct circle of friends or even extended circle of friends, liberal or conservative, that doesn't think that it's a bad idea that we have people like Mitch McConnell, Skeletor, or Sniffy Joe in positions in our government where they can get purchased in one decade and then have to pay back that blackmail over the course of a decades-long career. It's just not a good system. And yes, we need to nip that in the bud and cut that off at some point. So even if they are corrupt, which we know that they are, even if they are tainted, and yes, I use the word taint, they can at least be refreshed and kicked out of there in a timely manner.
So if 83% of us want term limits, why is it not yet the law of the land? Because the permanent political class thinks that the American people are wrong. They think we're unsophisticated. They think we're not smart enough to decide this issue. I couldn't disagree more. I think the American people can see exactly what is happening here.
There's only one argument against term limits that I have ever heard that is even halfway decent, and it goes something like this. So, okay, you're going to institute term limits on the actual individual that holds the seat, as in the senator or the representative, but their staff members can continue to hold positions indefinitely, and there are also appointed positions in our government that are not beholden to the will of the people through an election by and for the people. And those people can just continue to run a shadow government in the background without the consent of the people. I hear you. You are correct. However, they're doing that anyway. And that's not the issue that we're discussing here. That is a redirect to distract from the issue that we're actually discussing here, which is the problem that we have with our elected officials. The corruption that is endemic to the current system by buying of votes, buying of influence, lobbying, insider trading, et cetera, et cetera. The list continues to go on and on and on. And that is what we're focusing on now. That other thing, we need to work on that one too, but that's going to have to happen by another mechanism, little bites at a time.
Over the last 20 years, House incumbents have a 94% reelection rate. The Senate numbers aren't much better. Last year, 100% of senators were reelected. That doesn't happen because people are thrilled with their Congress members. Come on. It happens because the ruling elite have rigged the system in favor of incumbents. I'll give you an example. In just the last few months, I've received this stack of full-color mail brochures from my member of Congress. I assume everybody in the district got one. On the back in fine print, it says, paid for by the taxpayers. So he spends $1 million in public funds to tell us that he's against wasteful spending. You help me figure that out. But the bottom line is he is campaigning on the taxpayer's dime. And if someone wanted to challenge him, they'd have to raise money the old-fashioned way from real donors. So you can see how the deck is stacked.
It's a little bit more complicated than that, but I think he's probably speaking for time. As far as the money thing is concerned, absolutely, that should be illegal. You should not be allowed to use public funds for re-election campaigns. It shouldn't be allowed. That said, I think that what also plays into that a little bit is that whole lesser of two evils thing that has become so prolific in today's politics, where you are willing to vote for a known piece of trash just because they aren't as bad as the challenger that is there. And I think that that's a real problem. And if we can break the cycle by putting term limits in where you don't have these mega powerful individuals who've been there for decades upon decades, then people are going to be more likely to vote for somebody who is new to the game, because everybody would have to be new to the game every couple years.
The ball is in your court. You get to decide how history will remember you. Will you be remembered as the rich men north of Richmond, as the punchline to every joke, as the people with an 8% approval rating that nobody can stand? Or will you be remembered as the modern-day George Washington? When Washington had the opportunity to become a king, he said no, because he believed in this country and he trusted in its people. He knew there was a time to step aside and let new leaders emerge. For our generation, now is that time.
So the question then becomes, well, Kurt, can we get something like this done? And yes, actually we can. There are several hundred signers of this pledge to try for a constitutional amendment on term limits. So it is doable, but you might ask, well, Kurt, why on earth would members of Congress vote to axe their job? And it's quite simple. In fact, Cawthorn did this a couple of years ago. You just make it so that anybody who's currently in Congress is exempt. So you basically say, hey, these are going to be the last people that have the ability to hold their seats as long as they can hold on to them. After that point, you can only hold it for, I believe the group is going for 6 years for a House seat and then 12 years for a Senate seat. So yeah, I'm totally good with those numbers. So it is doable. It is something that I don't think gets enough attention. And I think that it is a thing that would absolutely turn the way business is done in America on its head. And it's a thing that absolutely needs to happen. I don't think that anybody's under any illusion that these people are going there to serve. No, they're going there to better their own ends. I mean, most positions are undertaken for the purpose of advancing oneself, but Congress has gotten way off the rails. It is the sole purpose of attaining a congressional seat at this juncture to become extravagantly wealthy by gaming the system, by literally knowing what the case is going to be. All I'm saying is that I think we should think critically about the deleterious effects that continue to stack up when we allow these dinosaurs to sit in these positions for decades on end. Anyway, I want to know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Am I over target? Thank you very much for joining us here today on the VSO Gun Channel, and maybe go check this group out. Thanks. Bye.